Hey, if you are an inflexible guy and you are unsure whether or not you're doing the following poses correctly, a high lunge, a warrior one, or a warrior two, and you want to learn proper modifications for inflexible guys, you also might be feeling low stiffness in your back when you are doing these poses. Maybe you feel like you're not getting the stretch properly, or if it's just really intense and it feels really uncomfortable, then you're going to want to watch this video. I'm going to show you how to modify these 3 essential yoga poses. I'm also going to tell you my best tips for increasing your overall hip flexibility, and also give you some lifestyle tips so that you can increase your hip flexibility even when you're not doing yoga. So follow along to this video. It's going to be really helpful, and at the end, you're going to have some really helpful knowledge that you can incorporate into all of your other yoga workouts. We're going to get started here with a high lunge. So for the high lunge, you're going to have, let's go right leg forward and left leg back. All 10 toes are facing straight forward, and you want to feel a stretch through the front of your left hip flexors, so the front of your left hip. We also want to feel some pretty solid engagement through our thighs, our core, and our hips. Now, where people mess up with this is they get their legs too far apart and your lower back starts to arch, like you can see me doing in this video. And this prevents you from having good core engagement, and it also means that you're not stretching your hip flexors properly. So, and if you're doing this, you might also feel a lot of pinching in your low back. That can be uncomfortable. So we just want to make sure that this feels good. So one of the easiest ways to modify this position is to start by bringing your legs closer together. And the way to gauge if you're doing this properly, first off, you want to make sure that you're keeping your butt tight, so squeezing your glutes and kind of engaging, reaching your tailbone down, squeezing your abs, so that if you look at yourself from the side, you want to have a neutral spine. Okay, so I'm not letting my back arch like this. I also don't want to go in the opposite direction where I'm scooping my butt under my body and rounding my lower back, but I want to find a nice neutral position where I can actually squeeze my glutes, I can squeeze my core, I have length between the very base of my spine and kind of up to the ribs, and I'm feeling a nice stretch through the front of my left hip. So this is where you can start, and we can increase the depth of this pose by bringing your feet further apart, so we can step that leg further back. And as long as you notice that when you step your leg back, your back stays neutral, right? So if it stays in a neutral position, you can continue to keep your abs engaged, you're squeezing your core, and your back doesn't turn into this arch position here like this, then that means that you can safely bring your feet further apart. However, if you bring your foot back and you notice that your lower back does start to arch, then we want to bring the feet closer together. So this is the easiest way to modify this position and to continue to get the benefits. Continue to work on the strength, the balance, and the flexibility. Another way that we can modify this is by bending your back knee. So let's go right leg forward again. Another way that we can do this, sometimes I do this if I'm feeling kind of tight that day, if I want to ease into the pose. Then another thing that we can do, instead of bringing your feet closer together, we can actually bend that back, we can drop that back knee a little bit like this. This is going to help with bringing your spine into a more neutral position. It's also going to make it so that your hip flexors are not stretching as much. So you don't need as much flexibility to do a high lunge when you're bending your back knee. The cool thing about this position is that as you hold the pose, you're going to notice that your flexibility increases, and you can slowly start to straighten that back leg until you get to your desired stretch. So as you start the pose, let's say your flexibility is at a 1, but as you hold it, as you breathe, as you work into the pose, your flexibility will increase. So that's when you can straighten that leg, and then you wouldn't have to move your feet. So 2 things that you can do here. Again, you can either start with your legs closer together, with the back knee lifted, that back leg straight, making sure that your lower back is not arching, but neutral, and that you're keeping your core engaged. You can also bend that back knee, and that's going to help keep your butt under your body, keep your spine in a neutral position, make sure that you're feeling the stretch, but also not going so far into the stretch that you don't get the strength benefits. So it's kind of this push and pull of getting into a depth of the position where you feel a stretch, but you can also build strength, as opposed to getting so deep into the pose that all you feel is stretching. By the way, if you're interested in learning more of these modifications, I actually have a free 7-day yoga challenge that I made specifically for men and their flexibility. You can sign up for that for free. Link in the description below when this video is finished. Next pose we're going to do is the Warrior One. So we're going to apply that same concept that we did with high lunge by starting with our feet closer together. So instead of starting, you might go into a yoga class and you might see someone's foot go way back like this. And this takes a ton of flexibility. This is hard to do. And to be honest, most people who do Warrior One and bring their leg that far back, they're not doing it properly, because check out my back when I do this. When they do it, what happens is their back arches like this, and they're not able to get any sort of good core engagement. So most people don't actually have the proper flexibility for Warrior One, and they're doing it outside of where they should be doing it. So what you're going to do here, same thing as we did in the high lunge, we're going to bring the feet closer together. And you might hear some yoga instructors instruct you to have your front heel point in a straight line to your back heel. That's actually not what I would do. I would have you bring your back foot out a little bit. So bring your back foot out about 6 inches so that it's about hip width distant, and that's also going to make this a little bit easier on you. So we want to choose a depth where you can pretty comfortably squeeze your glutes and have a mostly neutral spine. Now, because this back foot is pointing out 45 degrees and your hips are turned out a little bit, you're not going to get a truly neutral spine, right? That would be impossible. So you're just going to do your best to get your spine neutral with that back hip still facing kind of out at a 45-degree angle. You're doing your best to square your hips forward, but if you were to totally square your hips forward, you would do something weird to your knee. So just be aware it's not perfect. So here I've got a good stretch through my left groin, kind of the front of that left hip. I am pressing down through my front foot, so I feel good glute engagement, actually through both hips, but especially through that right glute. And I'm able to engage my core so that my lower back isn't arching and kind of my butt is poking out behind me. And then if I'm able to do all of that, then I'll move my foot a little bit further back. And that's how you're going to modify the Warrior One. So really easy, just bringing your legs closer together to start. And then as your body opens up, which is going to happen as you're doing the pose, but will also happen as you're consistent over time, then you can move that leg further back. Just make sure that you're keeping your hips under your torso mostly, that you're not letting your butt poke out behind you, you're not feeling pinching in your low back, and you are building a combination of both strength and flexibility, not just stretching. All right, and the third pose that we're going to be doing here is a Warrior Two. And this is important because it is the foundation of many poses. You can do a Warrior Two from this position, but you can also do a side angle. You can do an extended side angle. You can come into a half moon from here. So there's a lot of positions that this is important for. By the way, if you like these shorts, I get a lot of questions about what I wear in these videos. These are Bird Dogs. They've actually created a special offer for us. If you use the link in the description below to buy these shorts, then you'll also get a free tumbler. Big fan of these, super comfortable and not too tight either. So anyways, Warrior Two. So for Warrior Two, you're going to modify this by bringing your legs closer together. So that same thing again. And also, I would recommend that you don't have your front heel pointing directly to your back heel. I would ease that back foot a little up toward the edge of the mat, and that's just going to make it a little bit easier on you. And some things to look out for when you're doing Warrior Two to make sure that you're not going too deep beyond your flexibility capabilities. You want to make sure that you can keep your butt kind of under your torso. Now, I don't do yoga too much in yoga studios anymore. I haven't been in years, if I'm honest. But one thing that was nice about going to yoga studios was that you could look at yourself in the mirror and you could look at yourself straight on. And if you're doing yoga and you're looking in a mirror, you can tell that your hips are kind of under your body, right? If you're doing it improperly, you're going to notice that your hips kind of poke off to the side like this. So one way to gauge if you're doing it with with the appropriate depth, is to make sure that you can keep your butt under your torso. Okay, so you want to make sure that your glutes are tight, that you've got kind of a straight line from your chest down, and that you're not getting in this position where your butt is poking out behind you, your abs are kind of aimed downward somewhat, and you're arching your chest like this. This I'm not capable of doing with proper technique if I go this deep into it. However, if I can get my glutes engaged, think about reaching my tailbone down, and then if I'm looking at myself from the front, I do see that my hips are kind of hidden by my front leg, so to speak, not poking out to the side, then that's an ideal depth. Now, if you can't do that, that's when you're going to bring the legs closer together. And you can work on increasing that flexibility, just being consistent with the pose, getting more flexible in general. But you want to make sure that you're able to firmly engage your glutes in Warrior 2 to be able to reach your tailbone down. If you look at yourself from the side, right, you don't want your butt poking out like this. And another way to check your technique here, another thing to consider, you want to be able to keep this knee above the ankle and the front foot. If your feet are so far apart that your knee is a few inches behind that front foot, you're not really getting the maximum benefit from this. So make sure that your knee is above the ankle and that front foot while keeping that good lower back positioning and overall hip and core positioning with a neutral, mostly neutral spine. Another thing you want to do here is if you look at your front toe, you should be able to see your big toe around the knee. If the knee is kind of caving in and you can't see your toe, that's putting your knee in a potentially unsafe position, definitely not a very strong position. So I like to bring my hand here and just kind of tap it over. And that way, I make sure that my knee is in a nice position. I'm actually increasing my flexibility more, and I'm keeping myself safe. So that's how you're going to modify for Warrior 2. So now that I've covered those 3 poses, I want to tell you my best advice for increasing your overall hip flexibility. So the best thing that you can do, there's a couple things. First off, you want to be consistent with a mobility practice or flexibility work. One of the easiest ways to do that is with yoga, the kind of workouts that we're doing here on the Manful Yoga YouTube channel, and also in my app if you're looking at getting more structured programs and more workouts that you won't see here. But as long as you're being consistent with the workouts, I like to say if you're doing 3 workouts per week, about 30 minutes per workout, so kind of give or take about 100 minutes per week, then you're going to notice that your hip flexibility should be increasing over time. Some other things that you can do to help with improving the speed of that progress is, number one, the way that you're doing yoga poses. If you can combine strength with flexibility instead of just passive stretching, then your flexibility is going to increase much more quickly than if you were to just be doing passive stretching. Number 2, you also want to start moving more frequently. So getting out of your chair, going on walks, going on bike rides, just moving more in general is going to help tremendously. Another tip is getting out of chairs, getting down onto the floor instead. So next time you're watching TV, instead of sitting on the couch, get down on the floor. Play around with different positions on the floor. You can get into a 90-90 position. You can go into a low lunge position. You can just sit cross-legged the best you can, maybe leaning your back against a chair or a couch. Those are all going to be incredibly helpful for increasing your hip flexibility. And I do want to say that you don't have to do an entire workout to work on your hip flexibility. You can just do a pose here or there throughout the day. So get into the habit of doing, 1 or 2 poses in the morning, 1 or 2 in the evening, maybe 1 during the day. And if you can do that, that's going to help with increasing your hip flexibility much more so than if you just do 30 minutes of yoga a couple times per week and then you spend the entire day sitting at that other time. So stand-up desks are also incredibly helpful. Would highly recommend getting a standing desk to help out with that. So if you found this video helpful, please like the video. You can subscribe. We'll put out these great videos every week. We've got another one coming out Tuesday at 9:30 Central Time. We also have a whole series of these modification workouts. So go ahead and check out the Manful Yoga YouTube page, youtube.com/manfulyoga. And if you want to get started with a hip flexibility workout right now, go ahead and click the upper right-hand corner. This is a hip workout from my 7-day Beginner's Yoga for Men Challenge. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys in the next video.